These are very important results for both these campaigns. They were losing a bit of momentum, certainly going into New York.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Hillary Clinton was losing momentum. Donald Trump couldn't stop himself from making a series of gaffes, which really damaged him and led to a real drubbing he took in Wisconsin just 2 weeks ago. So how quickly things turn. This will really set them up going into crucial 5 states next week and then on for the rest of the process as each battles to secure the nomination in more difficult contests than I think anyone had expected and more drawn out contests. It's been many years since we saw a New York primary as pivotal as it was tonight.
OK, well, let's get to Ted Cruz. I mean, he was expected to do really poorly in New York City. He didn't exactly do himself many favors going into this, did he?
No, I mean, I think Ted Cruz sort of handed himself his result in New York when he criticized New York for its New York values. And that's something you heard throughout from not just Donald Trump, but John Kasich, even Hillary Clinton trumpeting what real New York values means. And we're set to hear a lot about that both tonight and into tomorrow. But for Ted Cruz, this is a blow in the sense of he failed to establish himself as the candidate of choice, as the anti-Trump candidate of choice. You know, finishing third here in New York means he's going to kind of limber in, you know, sort of lull into states where he's not expected to do that well either next week. That really damages the parts of the party that thought, OK, we don't really like Ted Cruz, but we'll take him over Donald Trump. That choice, too, now seems very difficult for them to make.
OK, so let's get to the Democrat side of things. What is Bernie Sanders' strategy looking ahead?
I mean, look, this is tough. If he had been closer in New York, if he had managed to pull out a miraculous New York win tonight, we would be talking a much different story. The whole story would have been Bernie Sanders and his continued momentum and the surge and the enthusiasm. This has kind of stopped him in his tracks. And people are going to be asking questions of when comes the time when Bernie Sanders starts, for the sake of the party, to maybe think about turning his supporters, turning those mass and those throngs of voters that have flocked behind him over to the candidate who has the overwhelming lead, not only in pledged delegates, but also in the superdelegates, the party insiders, that could make the difference in this race as well. And there will be calls for Bernie Sanders to really think about how he can carry his message over, but in a way that helps the Democratic Party as a whole and maybe isn't quite as bitter as it's got between those two over the past 2 weeks here in New York.